Stream started. So I made some decisions yesterday, and I'm gonna bring them up again today. All right, I think you guys can see me. Looks like it. I think we're good. Going crazy. Might even want to tweak my design here. Got so many windows open. So I have a kind of big decision to talk about today. Okay. So the big decision to talk about today has to do with an idea that I kind of concluded on yesterday. As you know, right now, majority of this code base is written in C++. That's fine. However, now that I've introduced gRPC, the compile time has become ridiculous, as you can see here. Now, I could abstract out protobuf and gRPC into just library share includes, which I probably will, but it does bring up another important point, and that is the entire infrastructure is costly. So every time I'm iterating effort, it's very long to compile. And especially now that I'm introducing gRPC as the networking layer, I have a new opportunity. So I am seriously considering, and I'm probably going to go ahead and execute, taking a large chunk of the server infrastructure and rewriting it in Go. Just because I will be massively more productive with it. And I'll still maintain C++ where it makes sense in areas such as like nav mesh, navigation, anything like it does like raycasting or positional stuff, which that's already a service. It's called position service. So I think it kind of already lends itself to that sort of design. So what I've started doing is I made a new repository called gserver, and I literally have done virtually nothing on it. In fact, let's go ahead and do a go mod init of github.com rune harvest gserver, and let's start up the game with a new project called main.go. Another thing I've been working on is stop my use of Copilot, because Copilot has been doing dumb stuff to me. Like super laggy. Ever since the GPT-5 introduction, it's been pretty bad. So let me get code assist going here real quick. Oh, it says disabled, but anyways. I'll hop in my Gmail. Okay. an infamous just quick start. We can go ahead and make a makefile. Regardless. All right, so in the makefile, we'll just do a make-dir p bin, cd bin, and go build. Probably going to go ahead and start with the subdirectory of command with main in it. I think that's what I want. Okay, so we now have a bin directory, which we can go ahead and ignore. The build command, no-go files found in bin. Why are we... Oh. And see if Copilot's actually faster or not with a context like this. Usually it's pretty fast with Gemini. I honestly think it has to do with me streaming and the 1080p I'm streaming. But, I mean, that wasn't too bad. Inline suggestion thing is not found. I don't know what this means. Just give me... All right. Why is... Is Go not installed on my machine? Yeah, I don't have my profile properly set either. Doing some extension cleanup real quick. Hex editor I don't really care about right now, but there we go. Cool. Why is there a .mk file? That was weird. Anyways, there. All right, so we just started from scratch, and what we're going to work on is we're going to be importing PhotoBuff and doing all sorts of fun imports and things. Arguably, I should be using a dev container, but I'll just go as is for now. But one of the issues that my compiler still has, even though it's, you know, is that it doesn't do the proto files properly. What I'm going to actually do is link shared here. And let's see if I can just ask Gemini to do this. Make me... Oh, you have agent mode as well. Anyways, make me a buff. How about this? Something like that. What? Oh, I didn't hit save. No such file or directory. Installing buff. And then verifying buff installation. Why aren't you actually installing it? Why not? Okay, how about this? Okay. So Gobin isn't set. And usually I'll put Gobin in like this directory. Oh, what is it? Is it just set or is it export? I think it's export. If it can do it fast for me. There's no space and it's quoted. Why does Control B not work? All right, so I'm on Home Zachary. That's not a hard fix. There. All right. The next thing I'm going to have it do is generate a new file for buff that sets up RPC and proto based on the shared proto folder. Okay. I'm not going to use their private repository. I don't understand. I don't get the preview. Oh, there it is. Then I have to accept. Okay. I usually call it proto, but that's literally what they called it. I wonder if I can like, why does this use Copilot? I thought I disabled that. Huh. Wish there was a hotkey for accept. Let's see if you can figure this out. Okay, so an unable to import. This is actually similar to what the other one's failing with. I don't like that. Can I move the Copilot chat over to here? Yes, thank you. I don't know why I defaulted to the left, but I'm trying to fix Did you get it right? Nope. This is using Copilot now. Oh, because Copilot. Wait. What? Where did Copilot chat go? I can't disable Copilot. It's kind of annoying. There we go. Okay, so the next question is, where does it generate to? It makes a gen directory. Honestly, I can just ignore proto, or at least the root directory. Okay, I think you just put like a /. Yeah, it's the same difference. Okay. So now we have a proto directory that doesn't get versioned, but is detected. And now we have protobuf as inclusive. Okay. So, we're going to start writing services. What we'll probably just do is have login as its own package. Use the login service naming convention. And basically, login service will be a struct that satisfies the implementation of, why does the generated files go to proto go rh? Can it just go to proto go RH? Yeah. Will that fix it? Let me delete this and retry. Why does it like jump away? A little weird. Like, fine with that. But see, I hit accept and then it like jumps away from the file. I don't understand that. All right, so that cleaned up the directory structure. Yeah. Oh, wait. Why is the gRPC implementation wonky now? Oh, just it's the same fix. All right, let's delete this. Why aren't you generating? Doesn't say there was an error. No, it's now putting it all in weird path directory. You fix it? Oh, you might have. Very nice. Good job. Okay. So what that does is now we don't have to worry about the proto import directories. Gotta get go updated. Oh, go get actually would do it with the go mod changed. Let's just get 125. Okay. All right, so everything's working except for the go. Well, hold up. This thing went back into the weird directory. But I fixed that. Oh, Control A doesn't clear the chat. Wait, why can't I clear the chat? Anyways, let's see what it's trying to say. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. It's just weird that I'm doing an import for myself like that, but whatever. That's interesting with agent mode. It's fun watching it try to discern how to fix this. Search your app clarify the situation. Generated Go files in your proto directory have an incorrect import path. Yeah. The buff gen shows that your generated Go files are placed in proto directory and their paths. I haven't been able to find your proto files, which is unexpected since going to be in the make file. Okay, the make file has the answer. It shows that your proto files are located in shared photo. Okay, so you're going to go grab that. Hey, Darius. Oh, this is fun. How? Okay, I see the generated files in the pro directory. I'll read the pbgo. Now I must examine the original proto files. It's having issues. It just wants to hit run. Let's see how this goes down. This is very strange. Despite strong evidence of existence, I'm unable to locate your proto files in any of my file system tools. I think it doesn't like symlinks. I'm going to hit stop because you're just looping at this point. Oh, well, you're trying to edit the pbgo files to take out the word shared. That's not the right route. Reject that. Also stop. I don't know why you're taking... Anyways, it struggled. When you do buff generate, change buff generate to not But yeah, Darius, I'm doing something interesting. After yesterday and some more research. No, that's not what I want. But essentially, when I make proto, it generates the files as intended. However, the import paths have shared in them. Could I do this? Yep, that does it. Yes, exactly. Have you been here since the beginning when I started talking? All right. And I moved over to Gemini, which is interesting. I'm learning its pros and cons here with the inline editor, Code Assist. But regardless, oh, nice. So here, just to give you a quick update on what I briefed on the beginning of this stream, what I did is I tweaked the whole networking stack, as you heard, and I started implementing gRPC. I wanted an agnostic networking layer that, you know, can cross languages. But then I realized if I'm going to be crossing languages and I'm going to be doing rewrites anyways for the networking stack, there is an easy opportunity for me to rewrite a lot of the server-side code into Go, especially because the compile times are significantly higher once you introduce protobuf and gRPC, at least if I compile it from source. And I could fix that later by adding libs, but C++ in general is slow to compile. So the less I have to work on that burden, the faster I can be productive. And if I'm doing a rewrite anyways, I might as well do it in a language I'm very comfortable in. So essentially, I'm simplifying the architecture where the majority of services will be written in Go, and only a handful would just be C++ on the backend server. Specifically like Recast, because there's not a good port for the Recast navigation system and like NavMesh stuff for Golang. But I could also wrap it in a CGO system just to speed up production. But anyways, that was kind of the decision. So what I'm doing right now is I'm adding scaffolding where I have some, you know, mock proto files, as you can see here. And I'm attempting to integrate these into my project in Golang. So let's see how this does. All right, so we started the server up. We have login service. Login service ultimately is going to wrap gRPC. And similar to what I did for the structure on the other one, we're going to have some sort of network. In fact, yeah, we're going to have like a network DB. Sorry, that was me debating something. This is actually going to be an interface. And then we're going to have a subfolder for gRPC. And this would be the this is the implementation that login service will accept on its constructor. What I'll also do is I need to add in a wire. Let's see if it'll do this for me. That's not bad, actually. The convention for this is weird because it should just be G server, I think. Right. Or really, I guess it would be this. Okay. We need to also... Yeah, it's okay. Oops, what did it say? No. Install Google Wire. You're just going to use a go install. Let's see if you can figure it out. How are you doing it? Install wire. He's adding a second command. That looks good, but I don't really like the... Oops. He accepted it, but... Oh. Why does it say my file is older? It didn't like... Yeah. But what I'll do is I'll make an init command. Like that. And then I'll put proto here. All right. And then wire doesn't have a version command, which is fine. And then now we can just run wire. Wait, why am I still using 123 in my CLI? There we go. It's just an old terminal. Package requires new or Go version. Wait. Oh, because I installed it with the older version. There. Okay. gRPC network. That's interesting. It got that import path good. All right, so we're going to add scaffolding. And what we need to do is add... There's going to be basically two... Well, in this case, there's only going to be one. By the way, if I hit fix, does it use... I think it's using Copilot. Which honestly, I don't like. Why can't you use... Let's see if it'll figure it out. Look at that. It's so much better. Like it understood what I wanted. Okay, so we want a constructor. Let's see if it can figure this out. Yeah. That's actually possibly perfect. One thing, it's attempting to instantiate the services without, I guess we can keep it in wire. This needs to be exported. There we go. So now we have a wire gen. The code's still running. I don't know why we're getting these compile errors. It's usually because of the wire inject flag. That should be cleanable pretty easy, but regardless. Okay, so let's instantiate network service now. Well, wow. I'm actually impressed by some of these code assist suggestions. So it's not perfect. Okay, so I can right click an error. Where are you getting this from? You're removing login and then you're adding a... Oh, I guess that's right because it's in the root directory. I wonder if it'll be able to fix this. Oops. No. That one's not good. Turn off agent view. Wait, why can't I turn... There it goes. Can I just drag files into this? That's not cool. But I think with agent mode, it'll run around. My wire gen is causing Go errors. Let's see if it'll discern that for me. Taking its sweet time. It's interesting I'm getting a duplicate declaration because normally these get tags or these go tags would be ignored. Also, you're taking forever. I don't like it when you take forever. Especially because I don't see what you're doing. I think I'm going to reload the window. It's possible this is just a lingering problem. No. Let's see if it'll figure this out with another try with agent mode. Makefile has a wire tag that runs wire gen. This command should generate and resolve it. Let's try running it. There is no wire command. Like you already are. Just run wire. I don't need to run wire. I am doing it in the CLI. Problem is the wire gen files are not being ignored properly by VS Code. No, you're wrong. I don't know what he's smoking. We're going to ignore it for now, but I'll fix it later. We're also having an issue with this being undefined now. Oh, there it is. So we are getting the same error. Let's see if you have a better fix for this. The wire gen in Google Wire is overlapping itself. Okay, so I'm just missing a build tag. This might fix it just alone. Yep. Perfect. Okay. So, login service. I'm going to ask Gemini. I'm using a pattern of use case, login service, suffix of service, interface, login, or let's say network DB, suffix of DB to indicate a interface. Interface implementation is usually like for the use case, which implements a specific application behavior operation, it's best to use a descriptive name that reflects the action it performs. Naming it with the suffix service is a common and acceptable practice. Other good options include login use case to handle the login use case. This is a great choice as it directly references, I don't know if I like the triple word, login command. It's going to feel a little yeah, login action. I don't know if I like action either way. In Hexagon, the interfaces are called ports. They define the contract for specific functionality without knowing who will implement it. A good naming convention for a port is to use a descriptive name with the suffix of port or repository. So if you did network port, since it's in Golang, does it make sense to use the interfacer ER ending as per Go idiomatic rules? Perhaps network porter? Networker. Adapter I kind of like. I think service I might maintain. So what it'll be is that login has a service, right? This is the use case. Yeah. Then this would be the networker. Oh yeah, I'm in Go, so I can just right click, rename, and it'll actually work across all the files. And this, I kind of like gRPC network adapter. What is it going to be? gRPC network, or I think gRPC network isn't bad. Okay. So the intent is this, right? We have login defined here. We have request and reply as payloads with the implementations in here. So if we go to this, it's a little easier to read. By the way, I guess I got to reinstall the proto lint. It's here, but why aren't you detecting this? Do I need like proto 3 or something? Yeah, that works. I like it colorized. Okay. So we have a method just called login for now. And when you try to log in, I don't like the inline. Can you format this, please? Okay. So you have a login request and response for this method, right? And what will likely happen, let's go ahead and jump back into Snowball's login service code. Well, technically it's going to just be login. And actually it's going to be like, actually it's a little wonky because of the callback thing. But essentially if we search for CS, we can see that there's VLP. And this is verify login password. So we call it login, but we could change this. The Gemini Code Assist server has crashed 5 times in the last 3 minutes. It will not be restarted. Why are you restarting? Or why are you crashing so much? It's weird. Anyways, verify login. Maybe just verify login. I don't need password. Or better yet, well, yeah, verify login works. But I like prefix, so login verify. Because that's more RESTful, and that'll come in handy later if I ever do a RESTful endpoint. All right, so this would be login verify request and login verify response. And this version uses username, password, and then application. Okay. And then ultimately, if we even go to the Snowball client, and we look for that same CS message. Really? I thought there was a CS. Why is client? Do they only have messages? Oh, that's right. This is one of the complaints I have with the design pattern is they leak things into shared for CS. See this message out? It's in login client in the shared directory under nel source net. So they've kludged the logic for logging in inside of yeah, and they replicate header file names. So it becomes super confusing on following the flow. Even here, this CS is obviously to choose shard. We want VLP. And we can see here, there's the actual request to log in. Okay. So we know that it's going to get this request. And ultimately, if verify password, no news, try again. Otherwise, disconnect and then move on to connect to shard, which has a few steps to it. But ultimately, it's attempting, there's a request response, and then it sends a cookie to the next service, which is technically front end. So what we could even do is we're going to make a directory called front end, and we're going to make a proto file for the front end service. And we can essentially copy a lot of this and essentially say, one comment we'll put in here. This is SV, which is cookie verify, essentially. And this is the front end service. I wrote notes about this earlier, specifically on how the exchange works. It's kind of like this. So client does a VLP, and the SCS goes back to login. I never finished the flow. I couldn't figure out after it hits front end with the SCS request, it goes all the way back to login with SCS. But then I didn't understand how it gets the response back to the client. I think it just responds with an empty message. Send a success message. It just says reason. But see, at this point, reason has not been set, I don't think. My scroll is screwing up. Reason is empty. So in other words, when this succeeds, there's essentially that. Or when this fails, there's a failure reason. If that's empty, then it's success. I'd honestly even call this error for now. Is there anything else that this does? Then it lists all the shards. Okay, so it's like, what are the shards like? It's repeated. Yeah, it's going to be kind of like that, but actually it's going to be shard proto. We may want to define shard locally. We're going to keep it there, but what we could even do... and then just do like string name equals 1. Is it just int? Okay. Great. And shard ID. I guess it's fine to call it that. It might look a little weird though, but this is ultimately what the request does. Is it says, hey, give me all the shards. And when it does, it satisfies it like this. And then for the front end part, this is where cookie verification starts. And honestly, I might call this something other than cookie, because cookie, it's really like token. Something like that. It's attempting to import shard.proto. Probably because this file is empty. Okay. That generated all my proto data. Speaking of, if I go back to Snowball and run the build again, there's a chance it won't fail. It does. It's failing because of the imports for gRPC. I'll have to fix that as well later, but okay. So the front end sends token verify. This is called SV in Nell. And token verify ultimately code is so bad. So basically the client is expecting an error, if any. And if the reason is not empty, then it fails. Otherwise, it removes all entities and gets us initialized. Okay. So arguably that's it. Front end just does a token verification and the login does a login verification. One issue though is there's no exchange on this flow yet of getting your token that you send. Like login cookie based on LC, and this is during init network on client, which is set by cookie, but cookie was, in this case, it was hard coded. There was no cookie exchange. But it's supposed to be here. And this, it's like randomizing a cookie. Honestly, I'm just going to revamp that and just make it where, you know, you have errors, token, and shards. Simple as that. So you get the auth token. That's what you hand off to front end. I can validate across because it's a token. I can even validate it just with a, you know, rotated secret in the background. It's the same thing as JWT. In fact, I'll probably generate a JWT token. Which would be cool because eventually I could even take the login and make an OAuth layer on it later. Especially because it's going to be in Go, which means OAuth is going to be super easy to implement. So, cool. So we have a login. We're making a proto file. Now, one of the problems we're going to hit is that there's going to be a quick variant of network. And this quick variant is going to have a different implementation. So we're going to likely want to do is wrap all the scaffolding of gRPC inside of gRPC network and then abstract it out in this function, which will really just have methods like login verify. And it'll be virtually identical to I don't think the options need to be handled. Is it a tuple return? Yeah. Pretty sure that's all we have to do. This will probably be that. Okay, so now we have an interface. And we can satisfy this interface with both of these. I don't know why the importer didn't work. I think it's because that extension crashed. I don't know. Let's see. No, this is going to do Copilot. No. Oh my God. Yeah, so the autocomplete is fixing it. I don't know why you're erroring still, though. Syntax error. Why is there a syntax error right here? Line 18. It doesn't like, oh. Wait, no, that looks normal. Or am I doing it the wrong order? No, that's right. Am I screwing up the import? Oh, duh. This is an implementation, so it needs to be like that. I'll be right back. All right, I am back. So yeah, this should satisfy the interface. It does. And we now have these generic wrappers. And where this is going to get fun is that for gRPC to initialize, we're going to have to wire in a wrapper. So like, I wonder if it'd even do this. Generate gRPC implementation based on proto RH login v1 login gRPC pvgo. Because this thing crashed, let me see if I can reload it. No. Is it really just that? It might need to get exported. write scaffolding to initialize gRPC at a function. I think that's fine. Yeah. I don't even know why I'm having this write this. Like, I mean, it makes sense, but we'll do it. Connection dial gRPC. It's a server though. Oh no. No, don't do a to do. Nice try. No. Sure, you're gonna make me look it up. Examples. Hello world server. Go. So PB. No. That's just an alias for the V1 login. What we could do. No, it's going to need to be network or gRPC network. Just think it needs login client. Why are we initializing with the login client, by the way? We need the server. You don't want to initialize this with. Not client. You don't get it. Because when you start up a server, you register a server greeter and you set up a new server as S. So basically, it does this. Okay, so S, gRPC server is a pointer, and that needs to be sent. like that. Then we go to the wire. Now we can pass this. And we got to register the greeter. But this needs to technically be the gRPC network. We have a bit of a binding issue here. Maybe not though. What we do is we initialize the server, then we initialize the network. Oh, I haven't. Oh yeah, so it's not network DB anymore. Undefined gRPC server. Well, define it. Ooh, why are there two variances of gRPC? Oh, okay. Networker is an unknown field in login service. Okay. So no provider found for gRPC server. That one's interesting. Well, before we even bother with that, let's... Well, actually, we do need this. It's implying no provider found for... Can we just... All right. I mean, it's happy. Okay. So next, we have a login service that we've initialized via gservice, gserver. Yeah. We now need to initialize the network. I think this might be a spelling error. Also, we should add context. Ooh, initialize. That's fine. Okay, so gRPC network, undefined, because it's technically part of... Wait. Doesn't this have a new... Oh. Because of the naming. Let's just call it... gRPC net has a new, which returns just the network. Right? The gRPC network during registration wants login service. Does not implement, well, it's going to be network actually. There you go. There's the glue. So you initialize a server for gRPC. You initialize the network implementation and you register that as an implementation on that. One issue though is that the login service currently has no networker implementation. That'll fix that. Might need to clean up though how Wire does new login service. I mean, it does it here. Why am I not getting that? I don't ever call new login service. Instead I do initialize. Did I do initialize? Oh, it initializes it with its own gRPC network. So the problem with that is I don't get access to that, and I'm going to probably need to pass that as a register here. Do I get access to... It's here. So what I could potentially do... I don't like that though. I'd rather not have this done with gRPC service. Because one of the problems I have is I need to do a registration with an argument that's technically hidden. Is it really hidden? Not really. It's just in networker. The problem though is networker abstracts out the gRPC registration. So maybe the gRPC registration should be in here. It's a little hard to do the registration stuff with an abstraction. I mean, it has login service server. Is that an interface? It is. And all it requires is the implementation of network. So technically, that would work. Because this implements on initialization an instance of gRPC. And now that we've registered it, we've wired it. Okay. A little back and forth getting that clean in my brain, but one issue though, I think the server now can just be initialized on its own. Yeah. So we have server. We're gonna call this like GS. And what we're gonna go ahead and now say is error equals GS serve. And on the listening port, don't do a failed to listen, just do listen, or even net listen. Okay. There. Okay, and this is not a new error. In fact, why is this even? Oh, I guess it's because it's instantiating that. Okay, so this now has a server greeter. And now we are able to listen. Cool. And we don't need to echo this out anymore. But what that just did is we now have a gRPC server. We now have a gRPC server that is registered and listening for messages. And when a message comes in, we have this implementation. One slight issue, though, is that login verify ultimately needs to have a callback. Is this structure, typically something calls it externally, calls login service. Login service has guards in the use case, and then the use case guards it and then sends back data. But with this design, we've registered the gRPC endpoint to invoke an event, which means that the network portion is sidestepping the login logic. So we're bypassing. Let me think about that. So login service, right? Guards login related events, right? And what I mean by guarding is like the storage of login data is a guarded entity. gRPC is more of a like its own service. And what you would want to do is create a callback method on login like this, but with the inter basically like this. Yeah, I'm pretty confident my scaffolding's wrong. So what we'll do is we got network. We're going to have a new network service that's going to be modeled based on login. And this will have the networker inside of it, just like we have currently. Okay, network gets moved over into network, which is a bit repetitive, but the networker is in here and it has the exact same scaffolding as before. And then login no longer has a need for network. In fact, there is no networker anymore. Instead, there's going to be some sort of like storage. We could even arguably implement login services current implementation. Which looks like this. What the hell? That is not what I asked. All right, fine. I can do this easy. So it's going to be like shards. So this is where Storager will leverage the protofiles, actually. So this would be entity v1 shard. There. Now entity v1, I've never included yet, so it doesn't know how to do that. But we can fix that pretty easy. Eight. There. Then we need to actually define shard. Perfect. The other thing is these are going to need context for cancellation. Okay. The storager is now implemented. And this method no longer exists, but we will start implementing all this soon. Okay, so wiring is going to need to get some TLC done. So new network service, this all looks good. Now, yeah. Except this now uses storager. Okay. Okay. Server storage is not known because it is in network storage. No, it's in login storage. Isn't it? Or is it? No, it's just login storage. Okay, so login no longer has network service because that is now part of network. Yeah, it is network service. Network. I should rename the network thing to like Messenger or something. Yeah, let's rename this to like RPC. RPCer. Or I don't know, dispatcher, consumer, messenger. Maybe messenger's better. Okay. Why am I doing massage? Isn't it message? Message? No, message is right. Massage is MASSAGE. So network has massage. Massage needs to be set here. There we go. Then in our wire, these are all message now. Not every network, but most. This network is now network, and network M is now undefined message. Network service is on network. Storager is lowercase. But because it's unexported, that's an error. There. So that was a bit of scaffolding, but now the callback methodology is going to be a whole other can of worms that I have to think about. I could do something similar to the scaffolding that Protobuf does with like the register command, where whenever main starts, you do a register, and this says register service, which is actually an interface, but ultimately causes an implementation. And then that registration has a muxer that does quite a bit of stuff like methods, streams, blah, 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 blah. We could simplify ours a lot. I don't think we need to do the reflection though. Though service description has an any interface. I don't think it's end of the world if there's a reflection. It's usually, I try to avoid it, but it does clean up a lot of red tape. So basically, the network service is going to have a new register service. And we could even do this. What is SD handler type? The problem though is so that gRPC network is going to obviously satisfy a lot of different subsets of methods. What I feel might make more sense is having like a lookup and only binding it to one lookup. So you can just say like, you know, register service, and maybe even have a const here. And it'll be like login verify. This needs to be exported though. And then what you could do is make a new message type int, make these bound to the message type. And essentially that. The problem though is that message type is going to need a binding inside of gRPC network. Well, if I bound it in the use case, I think we'd be okay. So maybe even when the service gets initialized, we're going to have a callback. Something like that. I don't know why this went capital though. Oh, am I doing this backwards? I am. Okay. So now I have a callback thing for registered services. This is still going to hit the same issue though. I'm going to have to bubble up the register up the stack. Which isn't end of the world. I just have to create the register method. Here. How do I glue this? If I keep all the arguments unique, I could arguably just do that. So, okay, we're going to take out all of this. We're just going to have register service with a callback, and then just simply return like that. I don't know why network service is failing so much now. Oh, I took out Okay, so the service then gets registered. Through here. Then the gRPC network now needs to implement register. Ooh. I could do it scoped. I feel like this is going to couple it too much. But let's test. Yeah, this is going to be too much because gRPC is going to be too bound. I don't want gRPC. I want that abstracted out. So let's go back to the any variants. Though I guess arguably this will always implement all the endpoints of the network. So it's not like that's a bad design. It's just that does that work? Login service server. Wait. Let's flip it. Okay. Why are you error? Oops. Okay. Wire's still happy. Proto's still happy. Initialization fails though. Because initialize login service no longer there. Storage set is not currently defined. This is also bad because technically this scaffolding is optional, but this is setting a new service based on whatever storage set is. Which I don't get that. That's not right. All right. No. Storage is currently not implemented, I don't think. Okay, so we're going to be adding memory storage in a second. Anyways, we're just getting scaffolding up. I'm sort of starting to prototype a lot of this code, and the key thing is that it'll compile a lot faster. And I'm pretty sure once I get the scaffolding up and I can get the Snowball client to connect via the proto files to my Go servers, in the long run, it's going to be massively faster to do all productivity. And I might lose like memory optimizations and such, but I'm aiming for like a 20 hertz game, which is like 50 milliseconds, and that should be totally doable with my stack, even with Go as basically the server. But we'll see. It's for now just fun prototyping. But anyways, I gotta get going. It's time for food. So you've been hanging out this whole time. Thank you. Not, it's all good. I'll have it on YouTube later. So listen in on your leisure, but I am going to attempt to finish wiring up all the gRPC scaffolding, get it so that it's fully wired, maybe look at implementing Quick as well, finish the login flow, move it over to the shard, positioning, and all the other logic checks, and ultimately, you know, get this project mocked up. I know I keep taking steps backwards as I'm like architecting, but in my opinion, it's going to be amazing at the end because of these decisions I've been making, but we'll see. Anyways, all right, I'm going to take off now. So have a good one. Thanks for watching.